This is Doug Farrar, shutdown corner with a name, a face we all recognize, the great Jerry Rice, up here in Seattle for the Seahawks Packers game. And Jerry, first of all, what brings you to our? I know you were here before, wearing number 80 for a while. What brings you back to our lovely city?
Well, for Connect, Xbox 360, and the NFL Play 60, they have teamed up, and it's the 60 million minute challenge. And what this is all about is a nationwide tour, and we want to recruit 1 million kids of all ages across the United States, and we want those kids to pledge that they're going to be active for 60 minutes a day. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to bring awareness to kids that are obese and overweight.
So it's kind of like the Play 60 thing taken into a virtual world.
Yes, and the thing is, you have to work your entire body.
Yeah.
If you dancing, if you boxing, if you are running, at least you're going to get a workout in. And also what I like about this game is it's about family. Mm-hmm. You can all do it together.
Right.
And I was just out there, I was doing it with the kids and watching the kids, motivating them to get a good workout in.
Now, do they have a replication of the 2.5 mile hill?
No, I don't think they quite.
Because I try and run hills, not like you, but I'll like run a 100-foot hill and think, oh, I'm Jerry Rice, and I'm thinking, now Jerry Rice will just laugh at me and go. But do you still run the hill?
I still run the hill, and one thing that I did when I was a little kid, I was active, playing basketball or catching footballs. And I think it's very important today that you get kids outside, at least get them moving around so they can get a good workout in and get them off the couch.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, because you get so many kids, they want to sit there, they want to play these different games, or they get on the computer, but with this game here, you got to be active.
Yeah. I remember reading a story about you as a kid. Your dad was a bricklayer.
Yeah, my father was a bricklayer.
And you used to catch bricks.
Right.
He used to throw them down to you?
So he would throw them up on this scaffold that was probably about 12 foot to 20 at times, 20 feet. And my job was to catch the bricks and stack the bricks so my father would have bricks to lay. And I took a lot of pride in it, and I think that just taught me about hard work and dedication. And they say, well, there's that myth out there that it helped with my hand-and-eye coordination for catching footballs. But, I think it just taught me hard work.
I was going to say, I think your work ethic. And I wonder about you and Michael Jordan and the guys who, you're the greatest at what you did. He was the greatest at what he did. But what drives you? It seemed like there was always something sort of chasing you in your head, in your soul, like you were never...
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that you were satisfied. It was almost like you were afraid of failure to the point where you just had to outwork what was it that always drove you?
I think you hit it right on the nose. It's the fear of failure.
Yeah.
Not letting your teammates down, letting your family down, letting your community down. And I knew when I got drafted by the San Francisco 49ers that I was just carrying a lot of weight on my shoulders, because if I had success in the NFL, then you would have scouts go back and look at other players.
Yeah.
So never wanted to let my head coach down, Bill Walsh, my teammates. So I always just had that fear of almost not getting complacent or anything like that. But I felt like I had never arrived. And that was the motivational thing that I needed, so I could keep excelling on the football field.
Well, and you struggled with drops early on.
Oh yeah, when I first came in,
and
fighting through that adversity.
Yeah, when you're that driven, does it? Because I talked to Archie Manning a couple weeks ago, and I talked about the difference between Eli and Peyton. And Peyton was so intense, he kind of gets in his own way. When you struggled, did you have to learn to sort of get out of your own way and drop that intensity?
No. I feel like you have to face it right on.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with the adversity, the criticism that goes along with it, and you have to be accountable. If I dropped a football during a game that was costly and we ended up losing, I had to deal with that. But I was willing to put myself in that position to at least have a chance of winning the game. You know, that's just like Michael Jordan, that's just like Larry Bird, all the great basketball players. You know, you got to be willing to put yourself out there to have success.
I talked to you a couple days before this last Super Bowl and asked you how you thought the game might go, and you pretty much nailed it, like from start to finish. And with your knowledge of the game, I've always wondered, why don't you do like TV analysis, color? Why don't you write stuff like that? Because I mean, it wasn't just that you got out there and ran around and caught footballs. You had to know the game and the system you were in. Why don't you impart more of that in a public sense?
I think it's just that I devoted myself to football for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing about me, if I do something, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I want to be good at it. So I have
you'd be good at that.
I have to really expend a lot of energy and get the coaching and all that. I do some commentary stuff with ESPN right now, but it's just some side thing. Well, just like I go to ESPN like maybe once a month, and they put me on like every show that they can put me on.
Yeah.
And you know, you just learn. I'm not saying I want to be like Chris Carter, Keyshawn Johnson, John Gruden, all those guys, but that's that connection that keeps me affiliated with football.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, you have the Xbox thing. You did some Dancing with the Stars. Is your son still at UCLA?
My son is at UCLA.
Okay, now that. So I want to talk about that because
listen to this.
That's the thing.
Listen to this. I go from last week from being in Bristol, Connecticut. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, flew home Friday, jumped right on the plane Saturday, went down to UCLA to watch my son play. Now I'm here in Seattle.
So
but my son,
the scouting report.
I really didn't want my son to play football, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because I knew the pressure that was going to be put on him, but it was something he wanted to do, so I'm supporting him 100%, and I'm just going to the games just to be a parent.
Yeah.
And I'm not. If he asked me something, well, Dad, you know what should I have done against this defensive back? Then I lend my opinion, but I'm more of just a parent. Are
you in the box or are you in the stands? Because
I tried the stands, it didn't work.
I was thinking, like, wait a minute, there's this, yeah, him.
Yeah, it didn't work, but I was fortunate to be able to find someone to let me in their box, and so whenever I go, I just give this guy the heads up, and I go in there and I support my son.
Yeah. When you went from Mississippi Valley State to the 49ers, I mean, first of all, what was that offense like in college? And then you go to this, it was kind of a newfangled thing. I mean, that transition must have been pretty severe.
Well, the offense that I ran was the run and shoot at Mississippi Valley State University. A lot of teams later on, they started to copy that just a little bit, like the Atlanta Falcons. But to go from that wide open offense to all of a sudden a tight end set, it took me a while to get adjusted to it. I also had to learn the playbook, the terminology.
And I've seen those things.
You had so many different adjustments, and at first it just did not register. And I was like, okay, I know how to catch the football. You know, I never had a problem with this, but it was that I was so focused on learning the playbook that it took away from my concentration of catching the ball. Then also, when you're going through adversity like that, you got to be able to fight your way out, because the fans, they pay their hard-earned money, and they want to see good football. And if you don't play good football, they're gonna boo you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting booed. I'm like, this is not right.
I'm Jerry Rice. Yeah. Come on, man.
But I worked my way through that adversity, and I think it made me a better football player. It's just like when you win so many Super Bowls, you get accustomed to winning, then you lose one. It's almost like you learn more from losing one than winning, because now you really got to be a professional. How you deal with people, how you deal with the media. You know, still giving them what they want, even though you didn't win the Super Bowl.
Well, I know. I mean, the pressure on Bill Walsh was brutal because anything short of a Super Bowl win was a failure.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure all you guys felt that.
It was the same way in the Bay Area.
I mean, because Steve Young wins MVP, and he's a failure because you guys
we could make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if we didn't win the entire thing, it was like devastation in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And the players, that's what we felt. If we lost a playoff game and we were that close, the next day it was a dark cloud.
Well, the Minnesota game in '87, the Anthony Carter game. I mean, you're so used to that, and that's just like, what happened?
I felt like the preparation was there. We were ready to go, and the only thing I remember about that week is that it rained a lot, and I think we ended up practicing at Stanford University, and we went into that ball game. It's almost like it just felt like we didn't have any legs.
Yeah.
But Minnesota, that didn't stop Anthony Carter and those guys. They were running fast and doing everything. But sometimes when you lose games like that, it makes you a better individual.
In my mind, the greatest football mind of all time, Bill Walsh. In general, kind of summarize, what was it like working with him, day to day, learning from him, the whole experience?
Not wanting to let that guy down. He was always, he was like a father figure, but then he could be your coach, then he could be your worst enemy.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff combined, and if you did something well, he was always going to be there to congratulate you. So just a genius on the football field. He knew how to get his players to play, and I think that's why he had so much success.
What did he teach you about life?
I think it's just always give 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's why I never felt like I had arrived.
Yeah.
And I had a guy that asked me today, he said, do you ever sit back and you think about everything that you have accomplished? And I said, no. Because it's like what I did on the football field and what I'm doing now, I'm pouring everything into what I'm doing after football.
Yeah.
It's the same approach.
Yeah. When you look at the game today, by the way, we're whispering because the national anthem's playing. We don't want to be disrespectful for the video. When you look at the game today, what's different? What do you like? What do you not like? Especially as a receiver. I mean, you didn't have a lot of 5 wide sets going on.
I think just the attention to detail.
Yeah.
You don't see as much separation with the receivers.
Yeah.
Guys don't run routes like they used to.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be an art.
It's less route correct now than it was?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
It used to be an art because I think the coaches, they don't take the time to take the guys back and to work on certain things. Mm-hmm. Bill Walsh always took us back to fundamentals.
Yeah.
Learning how to get off the bump and run. Learning how to get out of your cuts by dropping your hips and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think coaches don't do that anymore.
Then again, with your offense, so much of what you did affected what John Taylor did, affected what Ty Streets and J.J. Stokes. Everyone sort of affected everyone else, so you had to be more in sync.
Yeah, you had to work together as a receiving core. And if I got doubled, then I expected John Taylor or some of those other guys to take that double off me, Brent Jones. So we all complimented each other, and I think that's why we were able to do so many great things.
When you do watch football, which receivers do you like to watch the most today? Who really resounds to you?
I still watch. You got to look at Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, a lot of the rookies that are coming up. I like Julio Jones, A.J. Green, Stephen Hill. He's with the Jets. He's a young.
Oh yeah, the kid from Georgia Tech. Yeah,
he's
loved
a good
him
receiver.
coming out. Yeah.
Alshon Jeffries. He's with Chicago.
Yep.
So, but what I like about these guys are like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
I mean, I was 6'1", maybe 200 pounds.
And you were big.
Yeah, and that was
big guy. Yeah.
But now you got guys 6'5", 225, 230 that runs like a 4.3, 4.4.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, Jerry, always a pleasure, and thank you very much for your time.